Hashtag Notification Squad. Welcome back to another thumbnail tutorial where we try to recreate thumbnails from popular YouTubes, show it to you guys so that you can learn more about how they make their thumbnails. So don't forget to leave a like, and this is your first time, subscribe and turn on post notifications and join the notification squad. And also don't forget to follow me on Twitter so that you can now be part of the poll system where I'm going to be posting for YouTubers, and you can vote up which one you want to see, and hopefully they win and are featured in the next tutorial. Alright, so without further ado, today we are going to be doing xNESTORIO, which quite a few of you guys had suggested, or like, I wouldn't say quite a few, but a couple of you guys suggested him. So we're going to be doing him today, and of course, got to show you guys just in case you don't know. Let me just zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so this is his general style and his United UHC series. I didn't want to focus on that much because it's a separate series and not really a thing, even though he's a UHC YouTuber, by the way. So you know, basic stuff, high contrast, some brightness, stroke. So we're gonna be like doing something like this, and yeah, so this is style. So take a look at all this, the double stroke as well with a drop shadow. Not necessarily a double stroke all the time, but you will be using strokes for like everything on screen, and I mean everything. Now please bear with me because my voice, I wouldn't say I'm sick, but like it's just hard to talk, and I don't know what it is because I don't feel sick. It's just like I feel very nasally, but hopefully I can still record this tutorial for you guys. So of course, everything you need will be in the description, including the fonts and whatnot. I'm only gonna need like a couple of things because he uses the default texture pack in his thumbnails. Well, in this thumbnail he did, since it's a UHC game. And so we're gonna open up Minecraft. We are in 1.12 because that is where he got this thumbnail screenshot from, and that's where he plays UHC to this date. So we're gonna get a couple of screenshots. Let me just set the time today, and I already got the screenshots beforehand because there were quite a few. So of course we're going to get a screenshot of our shield, and then you're gonna take a screenshot of your hotbar slot, which I already did. Make sure it's out at 1.5 hearts like I am right now, and you're gonna take a screenshot of the background, of course. And I drank some potions, so it gave me potion effects in the top right corner. This is all for accuracy, by the way. And notice how I have like basic UHC stuff that you would have if you were playing UHC: golden apples, enchanted weaponry, water bucket, cobblestone, and of course a potion and food. So make sure you have that as well if you want to stay accurate. And of course I got the weapon as a bow, took a screenshot of that by itself. And yeah, so that's basically the gist of what all the screenshots that you need. If you have any questions, then let me know in the comments section down below. But once you're done with that, you can exit out of Minecraft. I'm just going to minimize it just in case, and we're going to open up Photoshop. We're going to go to File, New, and name this tutorial 14 or 15. No, yeah, this is 15. Okay, and I got the preset set to thumbnails, which is 1920 by 1080p, and you can do it 1280 by 720 if the file size is too large for you, or if you don't care about it being in full HD. So it's up to you. Okay, so now we are going to go and get the screenshots that I have. I'm just gonna drag and drop them, so let me just search up the file right now. Alright, so just a recap, this is the background. Hit enter to place it. I'll readjust them later. I just want to, you know, think this is gonna be our hotbar slot screenshot. So hit enter. Remember, 1.5 hearts. All right, now our third screenshot is going to be just the bow, which I have right here. Our shield. Hit enter. The last one is going to be this, and this is just a second screenshot of the hotbar. I'm going to show you guys why we need this second one. So make sure you take 2 screenshots of the hotbar. Okay, so now we're going to make all these invisible by clicking the eye icon. And now we're just going to readjust it so it fills up the whole screen. So take your background screenshot with the potion effects. Going to hit Control T. I'm just going to drag it to the other corner so that it fills up the whole screen. And hit enter when you're done. All right, now we're gonna start cropping everything that we need out. So first we're gonna select this layer. Actually, we're gonna select all these layers. We're gonna right click, click rasterize, and then we're gonna go back to select this layer. And now next we are going to click the rectangular selection tool, drag over the crosshair so that we delete it. And now we're gonna go over to the magic wand tool. I'm gonna click everywhere and hit delete. Now you see there's still some blue spots right here, so we're just gonna hold Alt and scroll wheel up to zoom in. Just click, select each spot, and then delete it. Easy. All right, there we go. And this is our hotbar. So we're just going to make this invisible. What we're worrying about now is just cropping everything that we need out. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna crop out the sun and the crosshair because we don't need that. So we're gonna hit delete after we select over it. I'm gonna go back to the magic wand tool. We're going to select all the blue, which is the sky, hit delete. By the way, make sure that you are looking at the sky so that it's much easier when you're cropping everything out. And I'm just gonna select over this crosshair, hotbar slot, because we don't need it. The only thing we need is the bow. And I'm gonna make that invisible and select this. And it's just rinse and repeat basically. So I'm just gonna do the same thing right now. All right, so that's all we have, and I'm gonna save this one for later. So we have our shield, our bow, and our hotbar slot. Now, obviously this looks completely ugly, so we're just gonna move everything else and give them their effects that we want to give them. And now, obviously I couldn't crop out the crosshair from the shield, so what we're gonna do, we're just gonna enlarge it. So we're gonna make sure we have the shield selected. We're gonna hit Control T, and we're gonna hold Shift to maintain the proportions and just drag it up and make it bigger. Now we're gonna drag it down so that the hotbar slot is hidden from sight, and you can make it a little larger if you want to. And let's even rotate it a bit. And once you're done, hit enter. Now I'm just gonna drag the hotbar slot above the shield. Okay, and we're gonna make the hotbar slot a lot larger too. So hit Control T, hold Shift, and drag from one corner till it's like very, very large. And we're going to put the bow on top of the hotbar slot. So just click and hold that layer with the bow and just drag it above the hotbar slot. And finally, we're gonna hit Control T for the bow, hold Shift, drag from the top left corner, make it even larger. All right, gonna move it here a little bit so that when we're adding the inner glow and stuff, you don't see it like on the edge of the bow. Okay, and I think I'm actually going to rotate the shield a little to the, just like undo the rotation. I believe it points that way, like it tilts to the right. Not too sure though. Okay, so this is like the basis of what we need. You see we're in 1.12, so we got the shield and everything. So we're just gonna add all the effects in the warping and the arcing of whatnot, which I will show you guys what to do. So we're gonna start with the shield. We're gonna double click the shield. We're gonna give it a white stroke, and this stroke is at 23. Might adjust it later. Gonna give it a drop shadow as well. Now all you gotta do is focus on the spread and the size. So high spread, and the size will just like follow behind it. Okay, so of course, as I always say, this takes some playing around with. I think this is good. Okay, and we can always adjust it later. So just pause the video and copy down everything you see right here. I'm actually gonna raise the stroke a little bit. I think that's good. He likes using thick strokes, in case you haven't noticed by now. And now we're just going to copy all these layers and paste it onto the bow and the hotbar. And of course, reduce the size a little bit for both of them if it's too wide. So we're gonna right click the shield that has all the effects. We're gonna click copy layer style. And we're gonna right click the hotbar, paste layer style, right click the bow, paste layer style. All right, and I think this is good. So like I said, we're just going to reduce the size for the stroke, because for the bow I think it's a little too much. So we're gonna double click the bow, and we're gonna reduce the stroke a little. And I'm just gonna use the down arrow key so it goes down by 1. Oh, this is actually the, Wrong stroke, yeah. Don't know how I selected that stroke. So, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna just... I think that should be good. And that means we're gonna have to reduce the size of the drop shadow. Because the drop shadow should only be a little, like half the size of the stroke. So that's how much it should be sticking out from behind the stroke. Okay, and lastly, we're going to give the bow an inner glow. So we're going to go down here to inner glow. We're going to raise the opacity. Just a little bit. Not too much. Okay, just copy down everything you see here. Don't got to worry about this. And if you can always adjust the size, I have it at 27 right now. And that seems to be fine for me. So we're going to hit OK now. And lastly, the hotbar slot. I think I'm going to reduce the size of the stroke and the drop shadow as well. So we're going to double click that. Go over here. Going to go to the white stroke and we're going to reduce it. Not too much though. Alright, 22 seems good. And now the same thing for the drop shadow. We just reduce the size. That's all you got to worry about. Okay. Hit OK. And I think we're done with that now. So the last thing we are going to do, we're going to add some effects. Well, we already added the effects, but I mean like a curve to the hotbar slot. And then we'll get into adding some effects to the background so that it pops out or doesn't look bland. So now we're gonna have this, select the hotbar slot. I'm gonna hit Control T. And now this thing pops up here. And you're gonna notice that there's like this curved box with this curved line underneath it next to the slash. So we're gonna click this. Now this thing changed over here. And this warp with a colon and a custom, which is actually drop down menu, appeared. So we're gonna click the down arrow to reveal the drop down menu. We're gonna click arc. So now it arcs. But this is a little too much of an arc. So we're gonna go back up here and we're gonna see somewhere that says bend. Now we're just going to click over bend. 2 arrows pop up, so you can just drag it left to right and alter the percentage of the bend. And we're just gonna reduce it to something like 10 to 15. Between 10 and 15 is always a good number range for me. But I think this time I'm going to set it to 13. And once you're done with that, you can hit the check mark. Now, I'm just gonna move this over here and increase the size a little bit. Alright, there we go. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to the background screenshot. Now we're going to go to select. We're going to go to filter, blur. And we're going to give it a radial blur. I think I have this saved from what I did last time. So we're going to, for the blur method, make sure you set it to zoom. Alright, not spin, but zoom. And now I'm just going to increase the amount to like 15 or so. And you can always adjust it. It's never permanent. So once you're done, hit OK. You're going to just double click radial blur. And then this will pop back up. So say I wanted to adjust this a little bit. Like if I didn't like 15, I wanted to put it down to like 13 or something. I could do that. Hit OK. And then it looks less intense. Okay, so now we're just going to add the zoom in effect. So notice 1.5 hearts. We want everyone to know that that is the significance of the thumbnail. Because when you have 1.5 hearts in UHC, you're either gonna die or you're gonna clutch it. So we're just going to get some shapes here to create like a little magnifying glass thing. And I'm gonna show you guys what I mean right now. So we're gonna head down here. We're going to click this thing. We're gonna click and hold it. And then we're gonna select the ellipse tool. And now we're just gonna hold shift and just drag it so that it's a perfect circle. It doesn't have to be the correct size because we can always change the size. And we're just gonna release everything. Now we're gonna go over here. All these properties popped up. So just go where I go. Go to shape details. I'm gonna click this. This is the stroke, and we're just gonna change the color to red. And I think I am going to increase the size or the width of the stroke on the circle. So 24 pixels. Don't worry about those decimals at the end. That's the solid number is all you need to worry about. So 24 pixels, yes. I'm gonna hit enter so that all those weird lines disappear. Actually gonna zoom in a little. All right, there we go. Now we're gonna click and hold this again, and we're gonna go to the rectangle tool. So click that, and we are going to just draw a random rectangle. So that's one. And I already have the color set to red, or the stroke. So just do what I said again, go to the properties and just change color to red. And now the third one, boom, like that. Or I could have just duplicated one of them, but to make sure that they're the same length, but oh well. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter again. So now we're just gonna make this symbol that I was talking about. So we're gonna select the ellipse tool. Gonna bring it over here. I'm gonna take the first rectangle. I'm gonna drag it over here. I'm gonna hit Control T, rotate it a little. Actually gonna zoom in for this. And you gotta make sure that it sits flushly in within the circle. And I'm just gonna raise it up a little here, hit enter. And then I'm gonna take the second rectangle that we made, hit Control T, rotate it, bring it over here. I'm gonna reduce the length of it, change the angle, and I'm just gonna bring it in here like that. Hit enter. And now, just gonna make some adjustments. You see that it's not like sitting perfectly within the other rectangle, so I'm just gonna drag it down here. Okay, that looks better, a little better. Now you can't see this from far away, but up close you can, so it doesn't have to be completely accurate. But this is a magnifying, zooming looking thing that we have, and it's pretty simple to make, honestly. You saw how fast we made it just now. All right, so now make sure you have everything about this correct, because we're gonna merge all these layers together so that's one complete body. So we're gonna select the rectangle, hold shift and select the bottom one, which is the ellipse. You're gonna hit Control E, and that's what merges the layers together. And you can always hit Control Z if you made a mistake, or go back into the history right here and undo it. Well, in this case, I think we're fine. Then we're gonna drag this next to the heart and hit Control T. We're just gonna make this a little bigger. Make this bigger. Let's drag it down a little. And always keep adjusting it, because, you know, sometimes you gotta always adjust when you enlarge it. We're gonna make it a little larger. Just a little larger. Alright, and boom sauce. Now we're just gonna give it a drop shadow. So we're gonna double click it. Just a simple drop shadow. Nothing too serious. So now we're gonna go to this drop shadow. We're gonna reduce the spread and the size so that it's much finer. Increase the spread a little bit. Okay, and hit OK. So now we're just going to add like another hotbar slot. Remember that screenshot I told you to get? This one. So all we're going to do, we're going to drag this below the rectangle thing. And now we're just going to move it. Zoom out a little so that you have more space. Hit Control T. And we're just going to keep zooming in. This is where the magic happens. Trust me. Alright. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. You have to zoom out a lot for this. Okay, I think that is good. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, that should be good. What do you guys think? Alright, sweet. So now we can hit enter. And now, all we're going to do is we're going to select this, the polygonal lasso tool. You're going to use the ellipse tool as well. Now I'm going to right click, make sure the layer is already rasterized if it wasn't already. I'm just going to select the part behind the ellipse. Notice how it doesn't have to be a perfect circle because the ellipse is going to be covering all the jagged areas, only revealing the part that is zoomed in, which is the awesome thing about this. So now I'm going to make my selection. I'm going to right click, select the inverse, and hit delete. Now we have this zoomed in effect. Now I'm just going to deselect everything, and boom, look at how amazing this looks. Like, it's zooming in on the heart. That is sweet. Now we are almost done. We're just gonna add the text and add a brightness and contrast. So now we're gonna select the top layer, gonna go over here to the text tool, and we're going to type on a random place, and I'm using the BLITZZ font. I don't know how to pronounce that second word, but that's all you need to know. Link will be in the description below. So now I'm using this orange color. So let me just show you. Just copy down this color code right now. Just pause the video and do that, and hit OK. Now I'm gonna hit the check mark and drag this down over here. I'm gonna hit Control J to duplicate the layer. Now this layer underneath it is what's going to have the stroke and the drop shadow, and this one is going to have the gradient, and you guys are gonna see why in a second. So I'm gonna double click this one, the one underneath. I'm going to give it a black stroke. Just copy down the size, 27 pixels, and I'm going to give it the drop shadow. This drop shadow is just going to be slightly poking out of the stroke so that it's there, but you know that there's a stroke underneath it, kind of like this. I think, yeah, that's good. All right, now we're going to hit OK. Now we're going to go to the one on top. I'm going to double click it, and we're going to give it a gradient. And if you guys want to know how to make this gradient, let me just click this, go over here to the left color, and I'm gonna click here, just copy down this color code, hit OK, go over to this yellow and copy down this color code, hit OK, OK, and OK. Now, what I'm going to do is simply make sure that the top 1.12 selected and hit the up arrow key a couple of times, and boom. Now let me just zoom in, show you guys. Now it looks like it's three-dimensional, and all we did was have a different color of the same text, put a second one, a copy of it on top of it, and just moved it up a little. And look at how amazing that looks. Ah, beautiful. All right, so now we're gonna merge these layers as well, because we're going to give it a curve. It's in a similar way that we gave the hotbar sauce. So we're gonna select both of these. We're gonna hit Control E. So make sure that you have everything correct with this, because once you hit Control E, like I said, you can't go back. And now we're gonna hit Control T. I'm gonna go back to this logo. I'm gonna go back to Warp, Arc, and we're gonna reduce it. I tried this out with the text, and 8 was good for me. So we're just gonna make it 8. This time, let me just type in 8, hit enter, and hit the check mark when you are done. I'm just gonna drag this down here a little bit. Okay, so this is the basic gist of the thumbnail. You guys can see for yourself. So what I'm going to do, part of this is just gonna be me like playing around with it, but I'm just gonna select this layer. I'm gonna go to adjustments, and I'm gonna go to brightness and contrast. Now, I know for sure that there's a contrast, so I'm just going to bring that up significantly, because he has a high contrast. Like, you will know, well, I have it currently at 75, but you'll know when, like, these icons on the hotbar start to, like, when the enchanted iron sword starts to glow a little from all that contrast. I don't think a brightness is necessary. It looks kind of better to an extent, but I'll just say keep the brightness on like something very low, like 5. I think 5 is good. So yeah, that is it, and I believe that we are now done with this thumbnail. Look at how amazing this looks. So guys, if you got to the end, let me know down below, and feel free to tweet at me your finished results of any of the thumbnail tutorials you have, whether it be aesthetic blitz, press in place, just verb. Tweet them at me at xNESTORIO, because I want to see how you did your thumbnails and if you use Photoshop or Paint.net, because I'm curious. A couple of people had tweeted at me, and I thought that would be a great idea. So this is it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching this thumbnail tutorial, even though my voice is sucking right now. If you guys want to see more of these, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If this is your first time, comment down any of your suggestions and get ready to start voting for your favorite YouTuber on Twitter, starting like near the end of this week. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the very next thumbnail tutorial. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.